to ramp up in California. The Temecula Valley School District recently sent a letter home to parents stating the following: to help protect your children and others from whooping cough, a new California law now requires students to be vaccinated against whooping cough. This applies to all students entering the 7th grade and any student transferring from out of state. But they failed to mention the exemption that exists by law that covers medical or personal beliefs. In fact, you can find it in the California Health and Safety Code 120325, and the particulars of the exemption can be found in California Health and Safety Code 120360, which is specifically about the exemptions. It's letters like these that continue to push Big Pharma's agenda to inject you and your young children with toxins, heavy metals, live viruses, and DNA from insects. Don't be intimidated by vaccine pushers. Do your own research and read the damn insert. This is Rob Dew reporting for InfoWars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. For more reports like these, subscribe to the Alex Jones channel on YouTube.
Welcome back. Now, it's not just the TSA that is coming up for consideration in just a few days. The Guardian reports that Section 215 of the Patriot Act is coming up for reconsideration in 45 days. Now, of course, 215 was the part of the Patriot Act that the NSA said that gives us the right to collect bulk data on people. But if you remember, Michael Hayden bragged about the fact that he didn't need 215. He had a direct order from the president. So that trumps the Constitution, that trumps the laws, that allows them to do anything they want. Right. This is something that has been going on a long time. It's one of the reasons why I support taking down drug prohibition. The war on drugs is where this is all originated, and people haven't seen this for a long time. Thankfully now, some people are starting to see this as Michael Hayden made his case that he had this order, this super secret order that nobody but he and the president knew about, that allowed him to do whatever he wished. Others who respected the Constitution, who respected the rule of law, like William Binney and Thomas Drake, resigned as whistleblowers in protest. But this has been going on a long time in the war on drugs. Look at this article from the Washington Post. They point out the shared roots of the war on drugs and the war on terror in one single chart. Look at that chart. Scroll down and show them that chart, and you'll see that 90% of the wiretaps that are issued are for drug offenses. Now, of course, what that chart doesn't show you is that the NSA and the CIA don't go to court to get authorization for wiretaps or for surveillance. Actually, they do go to something that they call a court, the FISA court, and they get one order that they say allows them to do dragnet surveillance for all Americans. So I guess that just counts as one. But understand, as Andy Greenberg pointed out in this Washington Post article, he said the program serves as a reminder that most of the legal battles between government and surveillance efforts and the Fourth Amendment's privacy protections over the last decades have played out first on the front lines of America's war on drugs. Let's understand, this is not a war on drugs, and it's not a war on terrorism. It is a war of drugs against the American people. It is a war of terrorism against the American people. Our government is operating both sides of this. We have shown this over and over again, how our government supplies the drugs, runs the drugs, puts them into the communities as a plague, and then comes in and says, we're going to protect you from this Holocaust that we've created. It's a government-run war of drug terrorism that they're running against us. But of course, Republicans want more of it. They want it harder and stronger than we're even getting it now. We have two Republicans coming out and saying they vow a war on pot if they take the White House. This is Marco Rubio and Chris Christie. They say they will clamp down on cannabis sales, according to the Daily Mail. Rubio says, I think we need to enforce our federal laws. Well, I would agree with them. Why don't we enforce the Constitution for starters? Why don't you get an amendment to the Constitution like you had to do for alcohol to prohibit pot? It's because you don't respect the laws of our country, Marco Rubio. He also defended his framing of Hillary Clinton, they say, as past her prime, and said he was knocking her ideas and not her age. Well, let me point out that Marco Rubio's idea of drug prohibition is something that is now 44 years old. It's an abject failure for its stated purpose. But of course, it's also an agenda that was created by the UN 54 years ago. And its stated purpose is not what its real purpose is. Its real purpose is to give government and power to the power to the government and to take power and rights away from the people. And then Chris Christie echoes back to reefer madness, and he says, marijuana is a gateway drug. Listen, the war on drugs is a gateway to the loss of our rights, to the loss of due process, to the corruption of our court systems and law enforcement. That's the true gateway. That represents a far greater danger to us than individuals, and you can't solve the drug problem for individuals with law enforcement. But Rubio and Christie think they can. Listen to what else Rubio said. He said he believes in states' rights, but laws created by the federal government legally supersede those of the states. No, actually, there's a division of power. These people are not qualified to be president. You need to understand that, along with most of the people that are running on both sides of this issue. Let's understand really where the war of terrorism is coming from. As I said before, it is a war of drugs of our government against the people. It is also a war of terrorism by our government against the people, terrorizing us. This is put out in some interesting format today. We have an article that shows a graph from a site that actually lists the number of people killed by cops over the last 15 years. An article on INFOWARS.com, research shows cops kill thousands more Americans than terrorists. Americans are constantly warned every day there is a deadly threat from terrorists, but there's far more immediate and deadly threat to Americans across the nation, one that can strike at any time, one that has killed untold thousands more than lost their lives on September 11th, 2001, and every other terrorist incident combined since then. The threat is the police. Now, if you look at this map, scroll down, look at this map. If you go to the article, you can actually zoom in on that map. You can hover over each of these individual incidents here. You can see how many people were killed and how they were killed in different areas. But as they point out, this organization that put together this data says that it only captured about 35% of total police killings since 2000 so far. So at best, this map represents a minimum of police-related killings over the past 15 years. It's very difficult to get this information. They don't report on this information about themselves. And if you look at that map, as you hover over individual dots, you will see whether or not anybody was convicted of that. And as he points out in this article, Steve Watson says, by those calculations, around 16,000 Americans are likely to have been killed by police in that time, over 1,000 every year. And remember, as we pointed out, just over the first 3 months of this year, we've already had over 300 people killed nationally by the police, as reported by the media. Some people that have totaled that up. It is actually increasing, not decreasing. We need to have a discussion as to what the purpose of law enforcement is. Is law enforcement a standing army? How can we have law and order in this country if our police are lawless and brutalizing the citizens? Stay with us. We're going to take a break. And right after the break, we're going to talk to someone from the Galice mining district, the area where the BLM is threatening to take over a gold mine by force and not giving any explanation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Another major health threat, this one in Toledo, Ohio, where everybody in the entire city has been told not to drink the water.
Ohio's governor declaring a state of emergency.
Did you know that the average person uses about 80 to 100 gallons of water at home every single day? If there's a water emergency, will you be prepared?
Panicked residents forming long lines throughout the day.
We're here at a supermarket in Toledo. You can see the shelves empty where water once was.
To stay safe and healthy during a crisis, you must have access to safe, clean water. Water which will not be available at your local grocery store.
There's a mad dash on right now to stock up on supplies.
The ProPure Pro 1 G2.0 water filtration system is a must-have for every modern, independently minded household. Protect your family's safety during an emergency. Go to InfoWarsStore.com today to purchase your ProPure Pro 1 G2.0 water filtration system or call 1-888-253-3139.
InfoWars Life and InfoWarsLife.com is extremely excited to announce our latest release, Winter Sun, a revolutionary type of vitamin D3. Winter Sun is a premium quality vitamin D3 nutritional supplement. It is produced by extracting oil from healthy, nutrient-dense plants known as lichens. Every batch is analyzed for purity and D3 content. It's completely free of toxins and allergens. Simply put, if you want the best at an extremely low price, this is it. Winter Sun is the result of our our pursuit of the best source of vitamin D3. The research and development took over 2 years, but the result, as verified by independent laboratories, is the best vegan vitamin D3 product in the world. Read the facts at InfoWarsLife.com about Winter Sun Vitamin D3. Not only does vitamin D3 promote a healthy mood, but vitamin D supports our memory and brain function, something the globalists are targeting. Visit InfoWars.com today or call 888-253-3139.
Are you concerned about police departments across America using stingray devices to steal cell phone data? The Northwest Arkansas Democrat Gazette reports Matthew Campbell, a lawyer representing 3 Fort Smith police officers in a whistleblower case, said that someone tried to hack into his computer by giving him an external hard drive contaminated with malicious hardware. It was Douglas Carson, the attorney representing Fort Smith and its police department, who sent Matthew Campbell the hard drive. Upon examination, it was discovered that the hard drive contained 4 Trojans, one of which was a duplicate. Mr. Campbell told PC Magazine, "One would have kept my internet active even if I tried to turn it off. One would have stolen any passwords that I entered in, and the other would have allowed the installation of other malicious software." Seems like the Fort Smith government is taking a page from the NSA. In 2013, Spiegel reported, "The NSA's Tau hacking unit is considered to be the intelligence agency's top secret weapon. It maintains its own covert network, infiltrates computers around the world, and even intercepts shipping deliveries to plant backdoors in electronics ordered by those it's targeting. Of course, it's all for our safety." Rob Dew reporting for InfoWars.com and InfoWars Nightly News.
Earlier this week, we reported on a situation that looks like it may be coming to a head in just over a week. Some miners in southern Oregon have been given a deadline to clear out of a mine that they've had since the 1870s. There's a clear chain of title, and the miners are asking for a legal explanation from the BLM, and they're not getting it. Oath Keepers have taken up a defensive posture there, one of providing security to try to make sure that nothing is going to happen until they can hear this through the court system. We're going to talk to Kirby Jackson from the Gleese Mining District. He's going to define for us what the mining district is. You'll be surprised, it's not just an association. He's also going to give us a history of what's been going on in the area, and you're going to see yet again how in 21st century America, bureaucracies are taking upon themselves to not only write the laws, but enforce the laws and have their own court systems. We no longer have a government of by and for the people. We have a government of bureaucrats who are running this by themselves, for themselves, to create their empire. So joining us now is Kirby Jackson from the Gleese Mining District. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Jackson. I guess one of the things we need to do first is kind of lay this out for the audience, because most people are not really familiar with what's going on in mining. Let's start with the Gleese Mining District. This is not a club. It's not an association of miners. Tell us what this is.
I am the recorder of what is referred to as the Gleese Mining District. Way back in 1872, when Congress first established the mining law, basically what they did at the time, all the miners on the ground, they were outlaws. They were regarded as squatters, and they had actually organized the first governments in a lot of these mining areas here. You know, we had mining camps and things like that. So the mining districts originally, they were the first governments in a lot of these areas before the counties and the states came about. So in 1866, when Congress drafted their first mining law, it was actually really just a federal recognition of what the miners were already doing on the ground, because, you know, our forerunners, they were the first government guys out here when we had an early frontier society. So Congress, when they recognized what the miners were doing, that's what they decided was the best thing to do. They recognized these mining districts, and they, more or less, it was the first time in history that any government in the world had actually recognized that the miners who were working the land should also have the right to establish the rules and regulations as far as how they obtained their property, how they maintained their property, and basically how they settled grievances among themselves.
Okay, so you've got a lot of you've got a lot of different small mines that are there, and this is essentially, as you point out on your website, it's an organization of self-government. But it's a little bit different for people, because a lot of, you know, what we're looking at in the cities and the counties, a lot of people don't really understand, just like they didn't understand at the Bundy Ranch, that there are different kinds of property rights. You're not saying that you own everything there. You've got mining rights, just like he had grazing rights or water rights. We have hunters who have rights to hunt as they're on the land. So there's all these different
That's right. And basically what the mining law did when it was first established, the